I'm Cliff Supernault. I'm from Alberta, and I'm on the National Advisory Panel. I co-chair the committee. We're working on the recommendations for Pathways 1. Yeah, Alberta originally, and my family, of course, is Métis. I was raised in Paddle Prairie Métis settlement and went to school in Fairview College, and then eventually Edmonton, Alberta College, and then U of A. I got involved in governments. I took public administration and spent most of my career in government. Ended up on the deputy minister level, which is acting managing director level, I should say, which is deputy minister in Alberta. So I ran Aboriginal affairs for the province for 23 years. First as a director, executive director, assistant deputy, and eventually to managing director level. So that was basically my role. I retired a few years ago and then took on part-time work here and there and a lot of advisory role. I work quite a bit with the Métis Nation of Alberta and spend time with them. I'm presently the chairman of the board of Apitogusan, which is a lending agency for Métis business, so I do that as well. I was asked to put my name in to be possibly appointed on NAP, and my name was submitted to the Métis National Council, to the Minister of Environment in the federal level, also the Minister of Environment Alberta. So they accepted me, and so I've been playing that role as on the NAP committee, which is the advisory panel, since June of 2017. Okay. Well, the role we've been mandated with by the ministers, which we met in the summer, basically to put together recommendations for pathways. So our group consists of, 14 people. They are basically some Indigenous representatives like myself. We also have a First Nations person on there to try and make sure the Indigenous knowledge is put into the NAP recommendations. So the committee consists of scientists, people working in parks, conservation areas in Canada. They also have we have a technical group, 6 committees that write reports for us on a technical side. So our role is the technical side. We have scientists on there, like I said, and we try and putting together an approach to recommendations and advice to ministers on how we can improve Canada so that we can improve the land that we live on called Canada. So it involves pretty well landscapes, waters included, fresh water, inland waters and ocean waters around Canada. So it's quite large. Again, this project to me is probably one of the largest, most important projects I've ever been on. Approximately 196 countries are part of this process, so it's not small, and it's a chance for us to basically do a better job with the environment in Canada. This gathering here in Winnipeg, I was invited, myself and my co-chair, Janet, to come and sit in and be part of this workshop. This is the 4th workshop that ICE has had, and my general view of this is it's very informative. I've learned a lot, particularly with the invitees of First Nations people from all across the country. This particular session to me basically is geared more on the Métis side in terms of information on the Métis across Canada and the role they played historically, and of course the role they play within Canada. And the area we're at, it's the people that are brought in here on the Métis side, because this is referred to as the Métis homeland in the Winnipeg area and the prairies. So this is an important part, as well as Alberta. We had a lot of Métis in Fort Edmonton area. They were part of the fur trade. They were involved in across the country opening fur trade routes throughout, all the way from the US to the far north. So Métis are very much a part of the mix here, and I think the Winnipeg meeting here is informative, but as well on the First Nations side, many of the people that are attending here far north, including Old Crow. I met some people from the Yukon, northern Manitoba, Alberta, and including Ontario and Quebec. I met some Quebec people here too, that they're also saying that they want to make sure that the land is preserved, protected in a nice way for themselves. So they want to make sure that the communities are getting involved in identifying areas that should be protected and conserved. So that's what I saw as very, very informative here. People are very outspoken about it and definitely want some changes in the way the country is run. From this point on, I see that we're closing, the timeline is closing on us to submit our recommendations in October, mid-October, to the two ministers that mandated us to do this, both environment ministers of Alberta and the federal, that we then make the report, probably go through a process of finalizing flow, editing perhaps, pictures and other things that have to be put in. Then I see a need for the ministers then taking it forward to the deputy ministers probably first, assistant deputy ministers, and then up. And then hopefully, once that's done, involve the First Nations for more detailed, more like consultation from here on in terms of what's put forward, along with the Métis National Council as well. And then the Inuit, I believe, they're getting involved. Some of the regions in the north have agreed to participate. So that's where it has to go. Then the provinces, I think, also have to see it. The ADMs, I should say, at this point. It probably will go to their deputies, and it'll be part of the budgeting process for all governments to look at how the implementation will take place in the years to follow. And I think if it falls into the budgeting process, I think it'll be the federal cabinet particularly will have to meet and decide what they want to do in terms of resourcing this process and implementing the major recommendations that are being put forward. The thing that I'd like to share in terms of what I heard here is there's still some distance between Métis and First Nations, particularly, and I think that's a lot of misunderstanding about the role that each of us played in the making up of this country. So I think the tours that we did about the various memorials in Winnipeg, the role that Louis Riel played in the Manitoba Act, starting with that, and that rolled into the Manitoba government and became part of the Manitoba Constitution. So I think that's an important role, but I think the main message that people are understanding from this session, some of the people that I've talked to, is that we have to respect each other's sovereignty as Aboriginal people, as Indigenous people. That's going to be extremely important moving forward.